Welcome back to the Chad Easty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. We bring on our next guest, Republican strategist Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Chad. Doing great. How about you?
Doing great. I want to start off on the with a little bit of Texas politics and something that you were tweeting about yesterday, and it deals with Speaker Dennis Bonnen, House Speaker Dennis Bonnen made some comments, I guess it was last week, that he personally was not going to go out and campaign for, or against, I guess, House Democrats. And he was telling members of the Texas House not to campaign against each other, and that if they do, there will be, I guess, retribution moving forward. And you were, I guess, taken aback by those comments. Is that the right way to put it, Matt?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's one thing for the Speaker of the House to personally decide that he's not going to, campaign against other members of the House that he feels that would, hurt relationships, et cetera. I think that's, and I understand that may be a tradition, and that may be appropriate. I don't necessarily have a personal problem with him making that decision. I think the bigger problem is, trying to control what other members do politically. It's one thing, to want to evaluate what they do legislatively. It's another to evaluate what they do politically. And look, the net effect of what the Speaker's message here is, the Republicans have lost 17 seats in the Texas House in the last two elections. Okay, we now have a 9-seat majority in the Texas House. It is possible we could lose the House in 2020. Have a Democratic Speaker of the House the first time since 2002. Would have profound, ramifications for redistricting, for legislation, et cetera. The question that needs to be put to the Speaker is: are you content? Are you satisfied with Republicans losing 17 seats the last two election cycles? And if not, what are you prepared to do about it? Because I can tell you right now, the Democrats that won those 17 seats are going to be running for re-election because they think they have a chance to take back the majority. And so if he's not willing to flip Democratic seats, then to me, he's not serving in the role that he should be serving in as the leader of the Republican Party of Texas. And if he wants to make that decision for himself, that's fine. But to say any other member that wants to raise money or campaign for a Republican candidate against a Democratic member of the House, that he's going to personally punish them, that to me is borderline outrageous. And so, does he not think a Republican member of the House would be better for his agenda, for the things he wants to accomplish, than a Democratic member of the House? I mean, if not, that's something he needs to communicate, but I can't imagine he believes that. So to me, it just sounded really tone deaf, and I think I certainly hope he either clarifies or walks that back in some way. We've got to hold the House. We've got to take seats back. We have to grow.
Oh, did we lose Matt?
During the legislative session.
Ah, there he is. All right. Yeah, Matt, you cut out there. But, yeah, I when I look at this, I look at the governor, and I expect the governor to get out there and campaign for Republicans. I think a lot of people expect the lieutenant governor to get out there and campaign for Republicans. To me, this is a big election. And when you look at the obviously everyone in the House is up. When you look at seats in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, when you look at seats in the Houston area, Matt, there are a lot of purple seats. There are a lot of seats that could go either direction. And I know one of the thorns maybe in the Speaker's side is Jonathan Stickland. And whether you're a Republican who loves Stickland or not, he's still a pretty consistent Republican vote in the House. And his seat is one of those that's up for grabs, right?
Yeah, I mean, he won with less than 50% because there was a Libertarian candidate. He won by a very close margin. Yeah, look, there's going to be 15, 20, maybe 25 state House seats that are going to be up for grabs. But Chad, I mean, let's again zero in on something I said because I think it's really important. The Democrats took 17 seats back in the last 4 years in the Texas House. Is the Speaker saying he's going to make no effort to flip those seats back? I mean, that makes no sense. That makes literally no sense. The only way that would make sense is if he believes there is no meaningful difference between a Republican member of the House and those incumbent Democratic members. So, I mean, to me, I don't even understand that. So there are going to be lots of important races. We need to take some of those seats back. We need to hold seats. If he wants to play defense, and that's how he's going to spend his time, is defending Republican members that are incumbents in tough seats, that's helpful. We don't want to narrow our majority further, but I can tell you our goal is not to maintain a 9-seat majority. It's to grow the majority.
Yeah.
And it's going to take everyone working on that. And as the leader of the Speaker, as leader of the House, he has a role there. Look, he has an official role as Speaker of the House, but he has a political role as one of the leaders of the Republican Party of Texas. And to me, it looks like he's really marginalizing his responsibility in that regard.
Do you think he is not wanting to be in that role? That he wants to be Speaker of the House, but as far as a leader of the state Republican Party, do you think he doesn't see himself in that role?
Yeah, I mean that would be one explanation. Look, I think the other explanation is that he wants to have a bipartisan, kind of approach in the Texas House. He appointed, I want to say, 6 or 7 Democratic chairs. He struck a deal with Democrats when he kind of locked down the speakership with a large number of Republicans as well, and ended up getting obviously unanimous vote in the Texas House. But the question is, is he basically saying that he's an independent? Is he a Republican? If you're a Republican, you'd rather have a Republican in office than a Democrat. I mean, that's one of the whole reasons we have political parties. And it seems to me playing defense is not a good way to score points, right? And you want to score points in elections. You want to pick up seats. You want to gain new territory. If we were at a high water mark, if we were at 95 or 98 or 100 Republicans in the Texas House, and he made this kind of statement, that would be a different situation. I still would have a problem with it, but it wouldn't be as bad as where we are now with a 9-seat majority. Yeah. It's basically like giving up massive territory and then saying, well, we're not going to try to take that territory back. We're going to try to hold on to this little piece of territory we have over here. I mean, that is not a winning strategy. And you're right. The governor is going to be fully committed. The lieutenant governor is going to be fully committed. The Republican Party of Texas and State Chairman James Dickey are fully committed. But we need the Speaker committed as well. I mean, no one is going to could be more influential in helping gain seats in the House than the Speaker of the House. And so it would be good if he would join the effort and kind of clarify or walk back these comments.
Yeah, visiting with Matt Mackowiak. Matt, you're one of the chairmen out there as well.
Yeah.
Do you, chairman of Travis County, for those who don't know, Travis County Republican Party, do you, and maybe along with some of the other state leaders, do you want to have a conversation with Bonnen and try to say, hey, we need all hands on deck for this election?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be very open to that. I mean, to your point, we lost. We have a state house seat in Travis County in Austin that was represented by State Representative Paul Workman, who lost by about 5% in November of 2018, and they have a very weak, Democratic incumbent, first-term incumbent named Vicki Goodwin, who's now in that seat. That's a perfect example. I mean, she voted against the property tax reform bill. I believe she voted against the anti-infanticide bill. I mean, does Speaker Bonnen think that the Republican nominee is worse for the future of the state of Texas than an incumbent like that? I mean, this is the kind of absurdity that his position kind of leads you to. So, yeah, in fact, the timing is interesting because there's actually an SREC meeting, a state Republican Executive Committee meeting this weekend, and the county chairs are getting together on Friday. So, yeah, I mean, I'd very much be interested in communicating to the speaker or having him, if he's willing to meet, great. In my limited history with him, I think he's got very sharp views. He kind of knows what he believes, and he's not easily persuaded. So I imagine he's not thrilled with the criticism that he's been getting from some quarters. But this is really, again, about is he going to be in a stronger position to pass major reforms in the next legislative session with 83 Republicans in the Texas House or with 90 or 95 Republicans in the Texas House? Yeah. I mean, that's the question he needs to answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Visiting with Matt Mackowiak. Matt, I want to ask you about a story that is a national story but has a direct impact on Texas, and this is the president, putting out the threat of imposing tariffs on Mexico. There have been a couple of state leaders who have come out against this idea, other congressional Republicans from Texas who are skeptical of this, and congressional Republicans who are trying to take a look at this and going, this is not good for Texas, for the nation, if we get into a trade war with Mexico. What are your thoughts on this? What are you hearing from Texas Republicans, and what do you think ultimately will happen here?
Yeah, I mean, look, let me start by saying, number one, I generally support most of what Trump is trying to do, generally speaking, from a policy perspective. A couple of disagreements here or there, but really I'm pretty supportive. And so this puts me in a bit of an awkward position. But I do really think that this it's not really an announcement yet because he hasn't done it yet, but it sounds like he's intending to put a 5% tariff on Mexican goods coming into the United States with an increase of 5% every month for 5 months up to 25%. This, I think, is, number one, going to be a breaking point for Republicans, not just in Texas. I think you very well may see Republicans in the House and Senate basically veto this tariff, basically disapprove of it, which then the president would then veto, and then we'll see if they have enough votes to override. But, look, this is a disaster for Texas. We get it. Mexico's our number one trading partner. It's very important across the state, range of industries, autos, obviously agriculture. You can go down the list. It's not just about avocados. It's about much broader than that. And you also get into this challenge where some of what you import is car parts that come from Mexico that then get put into cars that are manufactured in the United States. So you could literally harm the domestic auto manufacturing sector, which I imagine no one wants. So look, I'm really hoping that on Wednesday, tomorrow, when the Mexican government meets with the U.S. government in Washington at a summit, they can avoid this. They can announce some new steps. Look, I'm very sensitive to the argument the president's making as it relates to the southern border. The Democrats have really shirked their responsibility to try to help. The administration made a very sensible, reasonable $4 billion request, not for the border wall, but for humanitarian aid on the southern border. They don't have enough people. They don't have enough beds. They can't process these individuals. You had 1,000 people enter into El Paso and get apprehended at one time last week, largest migration to one place at one time ever on the southern border. So he's frustrated, and Mexico can do more. They can do more on the southern border. They can do more on the northern border. They can continue to hold some of these refugees in Mexico while they're waiting for U.S. processing. So my hope is they can avert this on Wednesday. But the president this morning, in a press conference with the British Prime Minister, made clear he is intending to do this. He had a chance to walk it back, and he didn't. So I'm concerned about this. I think it's bad for the Texas economy, and I think Republicans very well may break with him on this if they don't find an off-ramp.
Do you think we'll see Republicans in Texas, the governor, lieutenant governor, on down, break with the president on this issue? You may.
Senator Cornyn has basically broken with him. I don't know of any other statewide at this point. It'll be interesting to see if other members of Congress do. Look, again, I mean, it's, if you represent Texas, that has to be first, right? You don't represent Trump, you represent Texas. That's your primary responsibility. Now, many Republicans are very well aligned with the president, agree with what he's doing, very pleased with the economy as strong as it is, et cetera. And you don't want to undermine, president of your own party. But when he has a position that's bad for the state, you have a responsibility to stand up. And I think in this case, it's a pretty clear case. So, yeah, I do think more of them will stand up. I think everyone's waiting to see what happens Wednesday. Again, there's a real hope that there's an off-ramp there. But getting in a trade war with Mexico is very bad for Texas and very bad for the U.S. I support what he's doing with China because I think there's some very real merit there. And, again, I hope he gets to deal with China soon. But that, I think, makes a lot more sense than what he's trying to do with Mexico. Sort of punishing the Texas economy because of the immigration crisis on the southern border doesn't seem to be a smart strategy.
Yeah. Matt, tell folks how they can sign up for your newsletter and your podcast.
Yeah, the newsletter is called Must Read Texas. We take all the news from around the state, put it in one clean, easy-to-read email it out every weekday morning. You can sign up for a free one-week trial at mustreadtexas.com. The podcast is called Mac on Politics. It's available in the iTunes Store, on Google Play, on Stitcher, on Spotify. Most recent episode, which I just taped a little bit ago, is with a female CIA analyst named Neda Bakos, who just wrote a fascinating memoir. We talk about Al-Qaeda and ISIS and bin Laden and all kinds of subjects. And you can check out that podcast and listen to it.
All right, Matt, as always, appreciate your time. We'll visit with you next week.
Thanks, Chad. Take care.
Chad Hasty Show, KFYO.